My name is Gavin Evans, and this is my review of Bullet Train. Now, this is a movie that I've been excited for ever since it was announced. Just a bunch of A-list actors in an action movie that takes place on a train. I was just like, you know what? If they just keep it simple, I think this could be a really entertaining action movie. And unfortunately, it's anything but that. I was very let down by this movie and I did not have a good time with it. And after thinking about it, some of my biggest issues with this movie are just some of my biggest issues with movies nowadays, period. So let's go into them. First, with the fact that this movie should have been a simple plot. It should have been all these people on a train who are after the same briefcase filled with money and they fight to the death to get it. That should have been the entire movie. But the movie doesn't play it simple. In fact, they overcomplicate everything and it just becomes a giant convoluted mess that I couldn't care less about. There's far too many characters, far too much going on, and I couldn't care less about any of it. The direction the story ends up taking for the last act, I don't believe for a single second that anybody actually had any investment in it. Like if you look at a movie like Speed, a perfect action movie if you ask me. It's a bus, it's gonna blow up if it slows down, they have to stop it. And they find a way to keep that plot interesting, to keep it moving, and they don't get caught up in all this convoluted nonsense. They focus on the plot on display and they just go with that. And I just wish they did something similar with this movie because I did not care about the story at all. My second big issue with this movie is perhaps my biggest issue with movies nowadays, and it's that there's too much comedy. I liked it when if you wanted to laugh, you'd watch Loyal or Happy Gilmore or Neighbors. But nowadays, every movie's trying to be a comedy, and I'm sick of it. It constantly takes me out of the movie, and it just kind of shows that they aren't treating it as seriously as they should. You know, if you watch some of the old Arnold Schwarzenegger action movies, some of them are pretty funny. Some of them have some great one-liners, but they never take away from the dramatic beats or from the tension or from the stakes. They were like the delicious cherry on top. But nowadays, they've become so reliant on it, and I'm just done. I'm done. I don't want comedy in my action movies anymore. I just don't. Like there's a moment near the end of this movie where someone says something very nice to someone else and the person's just like, do you really mean that? And the guy's just like, fuck no. It's meant to be hilarious, but I'm just like, you know, you could have had a nice character moment there, but you just threw it away for the joke. And they do it time and time and time again. And it undercuts any bit of tension or stakes that could be present here. And the jokes are so predictable. There's one scene near the end where Brad Pitt finds something and he goes like, excellent. And I'm just like, he's going to lose it, isn't he? And sure enough, he did. And I'm just like, I'm just tired of the jokes in every single movie. I really am. He beats up this one character and he's talking to her and then he's just like, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to mansplain to you. And I'm just like, and it's cringy jokes too. It just doesn't work. You know, you watch a movie like The Raid Redemption, the best action movie of the past decade without a doubt. And it takes itself very seriously. There's no jokes and it allows the action to be all the more brutal. It adds tension, it adds stakes, it makes the action it really makes the movie come alive. And here, you just keep taking me out of it time and time again. So Hollywood just needs to stop it with the over-reliance on comedy. Another big issue I have with this movie is that Brad Pitt is fine at the start, but as the movie progresses, he starts acting more and more emasculated up until where he becomes a hippie dude bro at the end. And I just don't like that direction at all. I prefer it when the action heroes are masculine and strong and they keep doing this and it's not funny. He sees blood or someone gets killed and he's like, at the end. It's just like, this isn't the same character that was in this movie an hour ago. They did the same thing with Channing Tatum this year in The Lost City, and it's just a trend I'm completely done with. I really am. And then my last big issue with this movie, that is also a big issue I have with Hollywood period these days, is the fact that without giving anything away, I hate it when somebody dies and then, surprise, they're not dead. And this movie does it a couple of times, and it just takes me out of it. You ruin any bit of tension or stakes that could be there, because now anytime I see that someone's dead, I'm just like, well, they could come back. So I absolutely despise that. So those are my 4 biggest issues with this movie, but I also don't think any other element was all that good. The cast, I didn't like. I didn't like the direction they took Brad Pitt, but I also found his acting to be pretty weak here. Brad Pitt is one of the best actors ever, period. He's charismatic, he's likable, and he gives great performances in Seven, in Fight Club, and Inglourious Basterds, and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, in 12 Monkeys. The list goes on and on and on. But here, it just feels like he's not even trying, and I didn't care for his character or his performance at all. Then you've got Joy King, who I thought gave a fantastic performance in The Conjuring. That scene where she thinks that she sees the ghost behind the door is legitimately terrifying because she sells you on it. But ever since then, she's been in movies like The Kissing Booth 1, 2, and 3, and I don't think she's good in this movie at all. I absolutely hated her character. All she did was try to make the guys look stupid time and time again, and I never bought into it, and it got really annoying after a little bit. And then you've got Aaron Taylor Johnson and Brian Tyree Henry, and I don't think they give bad performances. I can see potential with them, but they're just given such weak material and they can't elevate it, unfortunately. Then you've got Andrew Koji, who... Okay, this pisses me off. Andrew Koji should be one of the biggest action stars on the planet right now. If you've seen the TV show Warrior, he's amazing in it, and it has some of the best action I've seen in a very long time. And for them to put him in this action movie, and they don't even give him like 5 seconds of action, is the worst decision they made. Like, talk about a waste. Andrew Koji is so talented, and I really hope he gets to be in more movies. And like, it just... Why would he get this amazing talent and just waste him? Completely baffling. You also got Hiroyuki Sanada, who I probably mispronounced his name. He's not great in this movie, but he probably gives my favorite performance by default, just because he was the one character who wasn't telling jokes. He was the one character who they took seriously, so I like that. Then you've got Michael Shannon, who's barely in this movie at all. He's completely wasted. You've got Sandra Bullock, who there was no point in her being in this movie. It's mainly just her voice and not needed. Then you've got Bad Bunny, which... just... Bad Bunny. He has nothing to do. He's in it for just a couple minutes. Then you've got Logan Lerman, who I didn't know was in this movie. I completely missed him when I saw that he was in it on IMDb before I pressed record. I was like, who's this? So, he had no impact. Zazie Beetz is kinda in it, but not really. So, it's got a lot of names, but for the most part, no one has anything to do. And without giving anything away, there's a few cameos in this movie, and I heard about some cameos before I saw it, and I was just like, you know what? It's gonna be these actors. And if you're thinking who could be a cameo in a movie, you'd probably come up with 3 names, and 2 of them are in this movie, and it's just, I don't know, I'm kind of over these actors, and I'm just tired of seeing them in everything, and I don't want to give anything away, but yeah. I also think this movie is very poorly directed by David Leitch. Like, David Leitch, he helped with the John Wick movies, and those movies, well, the first and second movie I really enjoy. The third movie has some great action, but I don't even know if he helped on that one, to be honest. But he also did Atomic Blonde, which is a movie I do find to be underrated. Like, it's not the best plot, it's very generic, but the action in that movie is really great. It's also got a nice style. But then he did Deadpool 2, which isn't good. It's nowhere near as good as the original. He also did Fast and Furious Presents Hobbs and Shaw, which I didn't really care for at all. And I think he does a really bad job directing this movie. First of all, it's way too long. At over 2 hours long, you could have cut out a good half hour to 40 minutes. There was a point where I looked at my Fitbit and I'm like, I got over an hour left. You've got to be kidding me. It is way too bloated. I also found the style he gives this movie to be nothing new. Like, I feel like the movie thought, look how stylistic we are, but we've seen this kind of stuff in plenty of other movies by this point, and never really worked for me in any way. It felt really forced. I thought the movie's really poorly edited. It looks really cheap. There is, like, almost nobody else on this train, and it just makes the entire movie feel less alive. Like, they're walking through all these cars, and it's nothing but empty seats. And it's like, why? Why would you do that? Like, you watch a movie like Source Code, or Train to Busan, or, even The Commuter, that stupid Liam Neeson movie. At least the setting is more utilized in those movies. Not the case here, and it looks really cheap. The entire final climax of this movie, the green screen is shockingly bad. Like, is it just me, or is CGI getting worse in movies? Like, the other day, I rewatched Doctor Strange 2, and I still really enjoyed that movie, but my goodness, some of the green screen in it is really bad, and I don't know, I find CGI to be getting worse and worse. I also don't like the use of music in this movie. The first song, Staying Alive, just feels so sudden and doesn't fit the tone of the scene that came before. And then we get I Need a Hero, which, look, I'm sorry, but some songs have just been done perfectly, and this song was handled perfectly in Shrek 2. It's off limits. No one else can use it again. Not Loki, not the He-Man trailer, nobody. Stop it. I Need a Hero is off limits. Out for good. Sorry. And then there was these other two songs in the last act of this movie, which I actually kind of liked, but it was switching from one song to the next, and it just felt very messy. And I also didn't find the action to be all that impressive. Like, it's got some brutal moments, but there's way too many cuts, way too many camera movements, and it just didn't work for me. The only action scene I did like was this one scene with Brad Pitt and Brian Tyree Henry, which I found to be the most amusing scene of the entire movie, but then after that, it drops in quality again. Like, look, this movie was awful. I absolutely hated watching it. I didn't have an ounce of enjoyment while watching it. You can see the potential and what they're going for, and having all these events building up throughout the movie and all these different characters, but none of it works. The script is just terrible. I appreciate the unique attempt, but they should have just kept it simple and deliver a straightforward action movie on a train and utilize the setting well. Also, I just wish they took this movie more seriously so I could get invested in everything and not constantly be poured out by all the jokes. I wish they would. I just have so many issues with this movie. I did not enjoy it at all. I do not think it's a good action movie. I don't think it's a good Guy Ritchie ripoff movie. I don't think it's a good movie, period. Avoid, skip it. It's bad. And, like, we've got, like, nothing else coming out soon. Like, I might see Fall next week and probably The Invitation and 3,000 Years of Longing at the end of the month. But we're in for a period of time where there's very few new movies coming out, and all that said, you still should not see this one. I'm going to go ahead and give Bullet Train a 1.5 out of 10. I might drop that to a 1 later, but I felt like being nice. But can I just quickly say that Sony Pictures is without a doubt the worst studio? They barely make any decent to good movies. So just wanted to say that, but have you seen Bullet Train? What did you think about it? Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you like, make sure you comment, make sure you subscribe. Stay tuned for some more videos soon, and Gavin out.